parking looks like and the throughfare, because that's where I think we have some issues with, with One Walk and Coffee Creations and Burger King. We got a lot of cars just trying to figure out where to park and where to go, but the access itself from Crossroads doesn't seem to be.
Right.
Is that a correct interpretation of?
I believe so, and again, the parking arrangement and layout will come in at a later time, but I think one of the things, again, that's going to be beneficial is once they get into the site, they may be trying to find parking, but we're not backing up on Crossroads trying to get people into the development, because we will have that right turn lane, which will keep traffic moving out on the two main lanes going east. So it's only when they get in, and again, we don't know what that's going to look like at this point.
That's why we have to pay attention. That we eliminate some of the problems that we've had in the current properties there.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Kent, did the applicant just come in?
Is that still written?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Would you like to come up?
Thank you. Yeah, I apologize for being late. Traffic was terrible. So.
Yeah, it usually is.
It's never going to go out.
I had no idea. You would think after everything I've been doing in the town here, I would know better at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
That's right, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So thank you. I represent the guys at Still Ridge. They're friends of mine. I'm consulting them. Jared Osmond. Where did you leave off? I'm so sorry. I apologize.
So we just had the presentation, and the commission was just talking about some of the questions they had in regards to the I think it was the roads and the access.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And then, Ken, do you want to ask him about the CAN complies while he's here?
Thank you. Yeah. So one of the questions I had was how.
Oh, yes. I need to get your address for the record.
Oh,
sorry.
yes, sir. Yeah, 11509 South Black Forest Drive.
And your name was?
Jared Osmond.
Jared, okay.
Yeah, I'm building currently across from Costco, and there's another subdivision I'll be in to present here in about 30 days. I'm excited to come and talk to you about it. Still Ridge was an idea that I was going to be involved with, and then gave it to my friends to do. They're using the same type of construction that we're doing across from Costco, same type of concept with retail. Access is a big deal, but I'd love to hear your concerns so that I could address them.
Yeah, I was going to ask, just on the staff packet, there were several highlighted CAN complies.
Yes.
Just wondering what your will you be able to deal with them? Any issues with that, with the CAN complies?
We're happy to do whatever the city needs us to do. And that's always been our policy. So if there's something that needs to happen, if we need to move roads or switch, or add parking or whatever, we're happy to do that. We're trying to define spaces at this point before we start coming forward with any building sizes per se, until we know who the tenants are 100%, then we can shrink them or grow them depending on what parking and access points we need. But if there is something we needed to adjust, we're happy to do that. Just point those out and we'll be back.
Some of the discussion we had just earlier is that the access point, like the commissioner brought up the access the access point to the east, and I don't have a problem with that access point, because we have a similar one right by One Walk, this restaurant. As far as distance goes from Crossroads, and that doesn't seem to be a problem as far as that access goes. But the problem I've seen, and I don't know if this is like a major thing, but every time I use it, which just this afternoon, is once they get in, then the parking issue, and then all the cars going back and forth. There's just not a lot of room for cars to park and for two-way traffic to go back and forth. So if you could just as a suggestion, just if you could take a look at that and try to prevent those kinds of issues once they get into the air, into the property.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm dealing with that a little bit on my subdivision there across from Costco. And so what we did at that point, we actually we created a longer stacking for the drive-through and created a different point of access for that. It does concern me too. We don't want people to come in and be so frustrated they don't come back. Right. Our tenants have to be successful, or it's a bad deal for us. I agree with that. We're happy to look at it.
Thank you. And then last thing from me is, since this is an administrative process, I just always ask, are you willing to comply with all the conditions in the planning staff packet.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Commissioner Barton, do you have any questions? I just wanted, it sounds like you don't necessarily have tenants at this point. Is that correct?
There are some tenants that are going to come in tow. We have people that purchase some of these pad sites up front. Aaron Wagner with Wags Capital has some really great restaurant concepts that he will bring in here. There's an Ever Bowl, if you've ever heard of that. It's very healthy. It's delicious. That's coming. There's a Hawaiian place that he's bringing in as well. So some cool additions, I think, to the city. And so we'd like the tenant mix that these folks are bringing. We have lots of tenants that are shopping us, but we're being very careful on the tenant mix. We don't want to create any undue competition for anybody in there, and we want to make sure it's a good fit. So I sort of carefully place. A lot of the tenants are coming over from the subdivision that I'm doing right now, and so people that didn't get a chance. So it's exciting, yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything else. I will entertain a motion.
I can make that. I move to forward to the City Council a positive recommendation regarding the Steel Ridge Plaza preliminary plat located generally at 333 East Crossroads Boulevard as outlined in Exhibit 1 with the findings and conditions in the staff report dated July 21st, 2020.
We have a motion from Commissioner Barton. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Kilgore. Do we have a question on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
Sorry about the traffic.
Take care.
All right. Approval of the minutes for the July 14th meeting.
I just saw one thing in there. It was so little, but I didn't know if we wanted to change it or not. Just a minute. Let me see if I can find it again. It's by Amy White's. No, it wasn't Amy White's comment. And I apologize I wasn't there for this 10-hour-long meeting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We haven't had a long one like that.
No,
for a
I'm like,
while.
oh my gosh.
Hey, nobody got, we didn't get into fisticuffs.
So that's good. It just says, on line 64-ish, it looks like, it says he doesn't think the city council isn't listening to people. I just want, so clarification on there. So he thinks the city council is listening, or he doesn't think the city council is listening?
Was that Mr. Evans?
Yes.
He definitely didn't think the city
He
council.
doesn't think they are. Okay. I just had to clarify that in my head.
It's got double negative, that's why.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I wasn't quite sure. I wanted to know exactly how he's feeling about the whole thing. Okay.
Oh, you're right.
But that was it. I just wanted clarification on
Probably a
that. So
quote.
it's probably
It could be a direct quote, yeah.
actually okay. Anyway, that was it.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for July 14th. And even though you weren't here, you can vote to approve them.
Okay. Good
And
to know.
you, sounds like you read them
I
better
did
than.
read that.
Okay.
I moved, oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
Oh, I move to approve the minutes for the 14th of July, 2022 Planning Commission meeting.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kilgore. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Commissioner McConkey. Do we have a question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As corrected.
Sure, yes, as corrected.
Okay, and the second's good with
The
that?
second is as corrected. Correct.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, that passes. Commission comments. Does anybody have any comments this evening?
Just thanks you guys for doing that meeting.
I did have a comment.
That was crazy.
Would've been a
Or
lot longer.
question.
Yeah.
Everybody said something too. Everyone on the commission had made comments.
Afterwards.
I was actually, even though it was tiring, I was really energized by the energy that came from that meeting,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It was good. I had a couple of questions. As I was looking at the general plan update, the city center area, are we, I don't remember, are we creating a new zone? Or did we recreate a new zone? We're just, how does that work? How do we as a commission or as a city help facilitate this dream that we have? I mean, is there a way to do it through a zone, or is it just cooperation from the landowner, or how does that work?
That's a very good question. So it is zoned planned community, and it does have the district area plan. It does have entitlements on it. The district area plan has a lot of flexibility. So we are wanting to highlight that area as encouragement. And then we have included them in the meetings and had some field trips with them, and we'll continue to work with them on convincing them that that area is going to be great for them and for us, for the downtown area. We will be doing a strategic plan as well next fiscal budget, focusing on that topic. And with that strategic plan, the goal of that is to strategize how those areas will be effective as a downtown. So we do need their cooperation. And we can't necessarily change the zoning on them because they have entitlements. However, within those entitlements, they do have land uses and they have a town center. It's not called town center, urban center land use that would very much fit everything that we're talking about. So they do have land use. The distribution is what's not locked in place. And so we are trying to coordinate with them and hoping for their cooperation.
Okay. So it almost sounds like it's kind of a relationship building and maybe economic strategy.
Right.
You said we can't change the zoning on them. Can they request the zoning to be changed for themselves?
Well, one thing that we are hoping and encouraging is that they will do an update to their maps in the district area plan, So the district area plan, the landowner is the Suburban Land Reserve, and so PRI and SL, so the LDS Church, the development branches of the LDS Church. So we've been working with them. So we've included them in the general plan update. We have gotten some feedback from them on the town center overlay that we've included in there. However, the feedback being that they don't necessarily want to be, because their general plan, their district area plan allows a lot of flexibility, so they don't necessarily want to be locked in. However, that's not what the general plan's doing. It's just a guide for the city for development. So as we consider, we do have some regulatory authority when they bring through a community plan and village plan. And so those could be times when we could also encourage the town center that we're hoping for.
Looks like our city attorney, Fred Donaldson, has a comment.
Yeah, excuse me. I know that Doug Meldrum, our Economic Development Director, is that his title? Is that what he is?
Yes.
Yeah. He has prepared an RFP for this, for the strategic plan update, and we've reviewed that, or I've reviewed it, and so I know that's moving forward. And that'll, I think, it's help guide it, right?
Right. And what that does, especially for the commercial areas, is it helps us as a city promote those areas that they are viable for the types of things.
So does that look at the likelihood of those commercial areas then being attractive to?
A town center, yes.
Okay. Appreciate that. If there, I don't know, if there's some knowledge or training or understanding that would help us without overstepping our bounds to help encourage that during hearings or whatever, that would be much appreciated.
Right. A lot of it is going to be building those relationships and them having the same vision that we have. And so that's why we've included them in the meeting discussions and the general plan update, and we've gotten their feedback. They are hesitant to be locked into something, but that's not what the general plan is doing. It's not locking them into
Right.
anything specifically. It's just
Because they already
creating-
have the agreement.
Yeah, it's identifying the long-term vision for the city, but it doesn't overrule their district area plan in any way. However, like I said, there's several land use designations in there that can be used in those locations to create what we're hoping for.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. During the last planning commission meeting, there was, with this area off of
Fairfield Road,
Pony Express, Pony,
Yes,
right?
Ryder,
Pony
the
Express?
Ryder's Ridge thing, or what?
I don't
it's
remember.
right.
what they're
It's the
called.
area between
But it's got those-
Pony Express and Fairfield Road.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
both of those roads you just said.
There. So it got me thinking, certainly obviously there were some concerns with their proposed zone change and so forth, but some of the discussion got me thinking about the size of the commercial areas, and if there are certain sizes that, excuse me, that are less attractive or more attractive as we're having these commercial zones. If they're too small, then obviously it takes a lot of the commercial businesses out. And so it leaves the question of, is it better used as something else? I'm not suggesting that it is, but it's a question. Or if it's too big, is that inefficient?
Yeah.
And does that also deter, trying to bring some certain businesses in? So I don't know if that's part of.
Well, a lot of the feedback you get from an applicant, I want to point out a lot of the feedback or commentary that you might get from an applicant is specific to them,
Yes.
not to.
Well, if it has no data, then it just becomes a.
Well, and their opinion is based on the types of development they have a history of doing. And so you could have a different developer who gives you very different data because they do a different type of commercial or a different size of a commercial or a different scale of commercial or things like that. So a lot of times we might hear feedback like, this is too much commercial in this location, and it's too much for that developer. It's not too much for
Right.
every, or it's too little for that, whatever it is they're saying. A lot of that is specific to them as developers, specific to them as business owners, things like that. It's not necessarily an accurate comment when you say, will this be successful? It's it's specific to them.
Right.
So-
But as you look at, speaking strictly from an economic standpoint, if we attract retail, then that's a great bonus to the city, because the city benefits directly financially from that. Whereas if we attract office buildings, there's no real revenue that comes from that. It's just a secondary if they shop here and that kind of thing. So my question really is, and I don't know that there's really any answer, and maybe this is where Doug's expertise comes from, but
Right.
as we're looking at the economic advantage and who we're trying to bring in and how the size of the zones affect, are we more likely with this size and this location, is it best suited for office? And
And Doug
that
can.
makes sense.
Yes, Doug can help with those types of questions, and he does have data that can help with those types of questions. The applicant's position on that particular item is interesting because they're on one of the heaviest trafficked roads in the area.
Yeah, yeah.
And so their perspective that they need some residential there is interesting because you're literally on one of the heaviest trafficked roads in the city. You have 40% of Eagle Mountain's traffic using that road. And then
And
you
they have
also
houses right
have,
behind, there's plenty of people.
yeah, a good percentage of Saratoga. And you have Saratoga residents that shop at Ridley's, which is in Eagle Mountain. So you do have Saratoga residents using Eagle Mountain services, stores, the businesses and stores, and offices that are there. So you'll have, and it's on a, anyhow.
Yeah. So that particular area right there, I mean, I'm wondering if they've got the residential zone just to the east. I don't know if there's any kind of agreement there or anything, or if it's just zoned that for now.
So you're talking about the Lexington, is that what you're meaning?
I don't know the names.
So it's east of where the
It's the
writers.
parcel that's just east of that one.
Yeah,
apparently.
there was an agreement between the city and the landowner. I guess he owned a bunch of the property that went down towards the junior high and high school.
Okay.
And there was land transfer and a bunch of other stuff, and he was guaranteed a certain amount of density. It's kind of been a source of, well, anyway.
It has history.
That's on
It
the
has history.
corner of Foothill and Pony Express, and there's an apartment project coming on that corner. They're entitled to an apartment project. There's plenty of density going in around that location. Mount Saratoga has 2,400 units, and about
yeah.
27% of those are attached units.
I was just wondering of the possibility of increasing the commercial zone and looking at the potential of rezoning that partial to commercial.
Well, one of
residential,
the issues with that area was one of the people that came and talked that owns the stuff right east.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't want it ever rezoned. And I think that's one of the things that's hampering us on a general plan for that area, because I think Kent even said we need to master plan the area, but when the landowner isn't willing to do that, it's kind of hard to move forward with
Well,
that.
and of course, the intent's not to start making enemies. I mean, we're all residents, and having that balance between, fostering the land rights, but also looking to the future, what's going to be most beneficial is game, I guess.
A clarification, master planning, the city can do that with or without the consent of the property owner. It's always better to have the consent of the property owner, but it's not necessary.
Because it's just a plan. It's just anticipation.
Well, yes, but even with zoning itself, you don't need to have the permission of the property owner to rezone it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for planning commission training, we were told that, you want to consider public clamor or whatever the issue is from the public, but we're not beholden to it. We're beholden we take an oath to uphold the ordinances and the state law, not to uphold, they say, you represent us. Some of the residents said that we don't represent them. That's not what our planning commissioner's job is. It's hard to say that to them in their face, but that's actually not correct. But as a lone dissenter for that one that one motion, my issue is if whether, like you said, it's the argument is based on what the property or what benefits the applicant. And so if they say that there's not enough commercial here to be viable unless we have more residents or something, the argument that he made. The problem is, we could take it in many ways because all around there is residential, and so why not have more residential? We could always argue traffic, but that's going to be the case every single time. Whatever we put in there, we're going to have residents, about the traffic because it is an issue. But I don't think it's going to really matter what actually goes in there. People are just going to be against, unless it's like a 1 acre, 1 acre or one home, that type of thing. But if the city doesn't have an argument against what the property owner says, then I'm going to go for the property owner because that's what Utah state law says. If there's a disagreement or if we're not sure how to interpret the law, then we should favor the property owner.
Well, with a rezone, we do have legislative discretion. So with a rezone, for any reason, you can deny a rezone.
And if it was already zoned as residential, then really we would be obligated to accept.
Well, and that's
but-
where we were trained. I guess it's just the two of us now. The old, been here for a while by the city attorney that we have to have a referenceable to the code reason if we want to disagree, if we want to deny the applicant's request on a legislative action. That there has to be, like safety, welfare, whatever it is.
Well,
Wh-
yeah,
Which is
so
pretty general, but
so
that's how we were told.
Yeah, I mean, I misspoke by saying any reason, so it does have to be tied to those reasons.
Okay.
However, it doesn't have to be in the property owner's favor when it comes to a rezone decision.
Fred, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just a couple things. I agree with what's been said and what Sarah just said, which is that as long as you have a reasonable basis and it's tied to health, safety, welfare, a lot of those applicants were concerned about safety on that road and just their kids and things like that. And as long as you have that basis, it's a legislative decision, and so you do have discretion, and so you can make that determination, and you're making a recommendation. Then the second thing is, it's my understanding that based on what I heard after, both the applicants are going to the council despite the recommendation. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard.
Well, so when residents say that they were saying that the current conditions in that area are already unsafe, which means any development that we do is going to be more unsafe. So I can't rely on that as the reason for not approving a request, right? Because it's going to be, no matter what it is, even if we don't change the zone and some other development comes, it's still going to be unsafe.
You just have to use your judgment, your personal judgment, and reasonable people can disagree,
Right.
just like you're saying.
Yeah.
So.
Have we covered this? Do we want to move on? Some of us want to go home.
I'm done. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, Director's Report.
Okay, our next meeting, it will be in 2 weeks, and we will have the general plan update. We have been working through the latest draft, and we're hoping to send that out to you more than a week in advance. 2 weeks would be today, and we're not ready today. So hopefully, we're aiming for Monday or Tuesday next week to send that to you, so you have it more than a week in advance. It is a large document. We also have, right now, 3 other items on that meeting. We have a Wander Village Plan number 3, and we have some code amendments related to IADU noticing and fees. And then we have Saratoga Springs Commercial Lot 4, which is over here by the new Starbucks, and it will be a similar building, about 6,600 square feet, and we don't know what's going in there yet. So you'll be looking forward to those items on your next meeting. We have had a new senior planner to replace me, and we'll be starting in August, and then our new planner one started about 3 weeks ago.
Will the IADU, will they have anything as far as penalties for non-compliance? Or have we not got to that yet?
Well, we don't have that right now. We do that's a good question. We have enforced those in the past when we've gotten complaints. And before they weren't allowed at all. So when we've gotten complaints, we have enforced those in the past. Our code enforcement officer has. I'm assuming we would continue the same way, that if we got a complaint and they were operating in an area that wasn't allowed, that we would send them a notice to cease.
Okay. Do we have a need to go into a closed session tonight?
We do not.
Then when's the next meeting? August
11th?
11th?
Is that the right date?
This meeting will stand adjourned until August 11th.